Tonight, our topic is going to be about rulers, and specifically what's going to happen when the earth is finally united under one ruler. And here in Canada, we recently had an election about 2 months ago or so in September. And leading up to that election, of course, the candidates had their campaigns. And these consisted of ads on TV or ads on the radio and billboards and lawn signs. And one thing that I noticed about almost every campaign is that they pointed out the faults of all the other candidates, their competitors. Why citizens shouldn't vote for this person because they do this, or they're not going to deliver on this promise or that promise. And this same type of thing happened last year in the US election. Watch the Donald Trump and Joe Biden debates, you would know that they were mostly just sessions of pointing fingers and painting the other candidate in a bad light. And I'm sure this happens in other elections as well in different places. But as we mentioned in our introduction video, what if you didn't have to listen to and sort through all of that? What if the ruler of your country was perfect? And any attempt at accusing them was entirely pointless because they never did anything wrong, and all their decisions were the right ones. Well, soon that what if is going to be a reality. When Jesus Christ comes to this earth to be its king, reigning under his Father, God. Now, in Daniel 2, verse 44, we read of the kingdom that God will set Jesus over, where it says, "And in the days of these kings shall the God of heaven set up a kingdom which shall never be destroyed, and the kingdom shall not be left to other people, but it shall break in pieces and consume all these kingdoms, and it shall stand forever." I think, however, we all know that when Jesus comes back to the earth, some rulers aren't going to like giving over their power to him. I mean, just look at someone like Donald Trump, who still protests that he should be the president of the United States, even a year after he lost the election. So when Jesus comes and declares that he is a king, what is going to happen? Well, there are going to be two reactions. The first is going to be violent opposition to Christ's proclamation, and the second is going to be willing submission. But ultimately, in the end, one goal is going to be accomplished. Jesus Christ is going to be king over the earth. Now, Psalm 2 is a place in the Bible that details some nations' response to Jesus' return. In verses 10 to 12, the message goes out to the rulers from all countries, and it says, "Be wise now, therefore, O ye kings, be instructed, ye judges of the earth. Serve the Lord with fear, and rejoice with trembling. Kiss the Son, lest he be angry, and ye perish from the way, when his wrath is kindled but a little. Blessed are all they that put their trust in him." And so we see here that all rulers are going to be given an invitation to come and lay their power and their position at the feet of God's Son, Jesus. And when it says to kiss him there, it means as an act of obedience and one of worship and submission. But we see that attached to this invitation is a warning. If they don't, his anger is going to be turned on them. Now we look at verse 2 in Psalm 2 for the first reaction. And we saw that first reaction is violent action. And in Psalm 2, verse 2, it says, "The kings of the earth set themselves, and the rulers take counsel together against the Lord and against his anointed." And his anointed is Jesus there, saying, "Let us break their bands asunder and cast away their cords from us." And so Jesus will forcibly take away the power of those who would rise up against him. His anger will be kindled against them. But not all rulers are going to feel this way about Jesus coming. On the other end of the spectrum, there's a famous quote of the former Queen of England, Queen Victoria, in which she declared, "Oh, how I wish the Lord might come during my lifetime, for I should like to lay my crown at his feet." And this is the spirit of the second reaction, that of willing submission. And we can read of that in Micah 4. Verses 1 to 2 read, "But in the last days it shall come to pass that the mountain of the house of the Lord shall be established in the top of the mountains, and it shall be exalted above the hills, and people shall flow unto it. And many nations shall come and say, Come and let us go up to the mountain of the Lord, and to the house of the God of Jacob. And he will teach us of his way, and we will walk in his path. For the law shall go forth of Zion, and the word of the Lord from Jerusalem." Here we see that many nations will walk in the paths of God, as taught by Jesus Christ the King. Their previous leaders will lead the journey to the new capital of the world, Jerusalem, to serve the King and God his Father. But if being a ruler is such a big thing, if it's such a big honor, such a big part of their lives, it is, after all, their job, why will these people give up their power to Jesus instead of fighting him like the others who have that first reaction? And the answer for this can be found in the verses following Micah 4, verse 2, which we're going to read, and then I'll summarize the points on the next slide. So Micah 4 and the verses following verse 2 say, "And he shall judge among many people, and rebuke strong nations afar off. They shall beat their swords into plowshares, and their spears into pruning hooks. Nation shall not lift up a sword against nation, neither shall they learn war any more. But they shall sit every man under his vine, and under his fig tree, and none shall make them afraid, for the mouth of the Lord of hosts hath spoken it. In that day, saith the Lord, will I assemble her that halteth, and I will gather her that is driven out, and her that I have afflicted, and I will make her that halted a remnant, and her that was cast far off a strong nation. And the Lord shall reign over them in Mount Zion from henceforth even forever." So if we just summarize what we read there, we have 4 main points. In this new kingdom reigned over by Jesus Christ, we see that there's going to be righteous and just judgment. There's going to be no more bias or uncertainty in what is right and what is wrong, and the guilty versus the innocent, because Jesus knows exactly what is right and wrong, and whether someone is innocent or guilty. And so judgment will be totally fair. And we see that there will be no more weapons of war. Resources aren't going to be poured into weapons meant only for the destruction of others, and as a byproduct, destruction of the earth. Instead, these resources will be channeled into harvesting and caring for the earth. And the third thing we see is that there will be peace and prosperity. Coupled with the fact that there will be no more weapons, there's going to be no more wars. Where world leaders want more land or more authority, and so they challenge each other with armies and with weapons. But instead, the entire world will be united under one king in peace. And that last point there, low people will be exalted. The poor and needy, those who might struggle in life because of physical ailments or the inability to work or eat every day, they're going to be helped. This category will become a remnant, a minority. They're not going to be as prominent as they are now. And these are only a fraction of the many blessings that these and their are going to experience in the new kingdom. But notice how they're specific. These are 4 of the things that rulers most want to solve for their people. Like, look at judgment. Rulers want to do what's best for their country and make sure it runs smoothly and in order by reducing crime and violence so that citizens will feel safe knowing that those who do such things will not get away with them. But our rulers are human, with flaws and prejudice and opinions that aren't necessarily right, so they're unable to have righteous judgment. Look at weapons. Rulers want to stop pollution and global warming, and yet they need to produce weapons to defend themselves and to attack. And this consumes resources, and their manufacture and use hurts the planet. And yet they continue to produce because of the fear of attack and their need to defend themselves. So they're unable to stop this. And what about wars? Rulers want peace, and yet they think to get it, one has to quell those who they believe are not peaceable by violence and force. They want prosperity and safety for their nation, and yet they have no means to bring this about because every leader has a different belief. You might think one person, but they might think you're wrong, and so you go to war about it, trying to obtain peace. And finally, if you look at the poor, rulers want to solve things like world hunger and make it so that no one is poor anymore, and yet they lack the resources and ability to do this. But these are all things that Jesus Christ will be able to solve when he is the king. Now we have an excellent summary of the rulers' reactions and the result of Christ's coming. And we can find this in Psalm 72, verse 8 to 11, where it says, "He shall have dominion also from sea to sea, and from river unto the ends of the earth. They that dwell in the wilderness shall bow before him, and his enemies shall lick the dust." And that's the first reaction, those who oppose his rulership with violence, but they're going to be defeated. If we continue on, the kings of Tarshish and of the isles shall bring presents. The kings of Sheba and Seba shall offer gifts. And this is the group that had the second reaction, those who see the benefits of Jesus as a righteous ruler and are prepared to give up their own position peaceably. If we continue on, yea, all kings shall fall down before him, all nations shall serve him. Because no matter what reaction the rulers have, everyone is going to be put into submission, and their nations are going to be united under one king, Jesus Christ. So to answer our question, what will happen when Jesus Christ comes to the earth to reign as king? Well, some are going to oppose him with violence. Some are going to accept him humbly. But in the end, all are going to give up their power to the righteous king of the earth and his established kingdom.
If you found this video helpful, then make sure to go to our website to find other Bible study materials, and also don't forget to take the quiz by using the link down below. If you take enough quizzes, you'll earn some awesome rewards, as well as some very useful Bible study tools. We at Bible Basics Webinar also specialize in individual and small group Bible studies. You can text us by using the phone number that's also down in the description, as well as our email to get more information about our Zoom and in-person classes. And of course, thank you so much for watching Bible Basics Webinar, where we use the Bible to learn about God.